Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Had Deadpool's Ability Part 6. Burning Man. Kicking down a door I see a bunch of people that should already be gone and dead. Gotta say they look like they've just seen the devil himself. Though I had the same look when I saw him. Who are you? A very buff and beautiful Ravenette asked me. Call me I don't got a proper name. I say as it popped into my mind. I am the 8.5th user of One for All. Really? That explains why Mirio and Toshinori are just shadows. The first says. Look, I am going need this. I say reaching for them. Their quirks are what I am going to use kill that bucker. I say as they look at me weirdly. Oh, forgot to say. All Might and I fighting all for one. He sort put All Might down for good, don't get it twisted, he isn't dead. He gave me what of One for All, well what he had left, and now I need your quirks, think of it as rent for staying in here. So you are saying you can kill him right here and now? The fifth asked me as I nodded. Well, I don't need much, take it. It's the coolest one here anyway. The name's Banjo and this is Nana. A second user looked at me and scoffed. I am going to see if you're telling the truth. He said about to exit the way I got in. I wouldn't, since you won't be the same when I pull you out. I comment as entered and the door slammed shut behind him. Look, I am in a bit of time limit, so just give me them. I got a wife and kids that I need to kill for. I said as Nana went back a bit. You're a father. Soon to be. I can't raise my little gremlin in a world that has a child kidnapper after me. I said, grabbing a photo of all of us together. See, this is just a photo of you with a lot of women in a compromising position. Nana said, looking away. Wait, what? I say, looking at the photo to see I really did pull out the wrong one. Oops, wrong one. Look, 8.5, I will let you use my quirk as well. The fourth said, and I give him a tight hug. Thank you, I've wanted to know how my favorite hero feels danger before it happens. I then remembered that I let the second stayed along. Rushing out the door I find him and drag him out of my head, then throw him back to the user's room. He looked as he had lost his mind, so it would be a bit till he got better. So many voices, teddy bears, lots and lots of death, he mumbled in the corner. Looks like I'm not getting his quirk. My quirk is Fajin. Use it well. The third stated as Nana looked at me. Can you take the strain of all of our quirks? I am hoping my healing factor is very strong so I can heal from any wound, also I might have found a way that users with quirks don't die from One for All. So Mirio is safe, I said as Nana nodded. Tenko will be in good hands as well. Tenko? Nana asked. He is your last living member of your bloodline, and my friend, I said as she took understood what that meant. Will you beat my brother? The first asked me. I will. He has taken my childhood and hurt people I care about. I am not going to let him off. I say as the first looked at me with his piercing green eyes. Good. When as this all has to end. So we all can rest and pass on, giving up our souls. He told me as I shake his hand. Hell has already opened up to swallow him and I whole. The difference is I can come back. I say, remembering my first death. I will let you use my quirk, don't miss your chance. She stated, patting my head. Wouldn't miss it even if I was blind like my soon-to-be lawyer. I say, feeling my body beginning to fade. Watch me, you all don't wanna miss this beat down. Thanks for paying rent, I was going to use the quirks regardless. Soon I fully faded, leaving them. So are we going to watch? Nana asked the first. Yes, I want to see what my brother has become. He responded as the rest followed to see it and to see how he uses their quirks. Izuku came back to and saw All for One walking towards him. Ready to get your ass kicked? Or ready to run away when I am close winning? Izuku said, releasing a lot of smoke and activating Black Whip while simultaneously floating into the air. Seems the dead won't sleep. All for One responded, blasting Izuku in the face. Unlike the previous time where his head exploded, Izuku just recoiled from the hit with just a scratch. That kinda felt like a slap. He said, flying forward and using 100% of One for All. Deadpool smash, Izuku shouted, sending All for One into the air. Then used Black Whip to grab the old man and activated Fajin to smash him into the ground with lots of force. All for One sent out his finger spikes, so Izuku used Danger Sense to dodge. So that's how it feels, amazing, he said, grabbing them with great force, broke them. All for One watched as Izuku used One for All easily, as if he was breathing. No, this shouldn't be, you shouldn't have that quirk, it belongs to me, All for One said with Black Whip tying him up. He was pulled in and Izuku kicked him in the gut. Then smashed All for One's face into his knee. All for One retaliated by grabbing Izuku by the head. His fingers punctured his right eye. Though a small wound like that would never slow Izuku down. He continued to pummel All for One into the ground, healing from whatever wound he got. You can't win, Izuku shouted, implanting his fist into All for One face, embedding his head into the ground. All for One spat fire at Izuku's face. Not caring, Izuku grabbed his jaw and ripped it off. The ground shook every time he landed a hit. He was on top of All for One, repeatedly bludgeoning the man. Not letting him get up and taking whatever attack All for One threw at him. Though from the outsider's point of view it looked like the two were having very aggressive hex. That was literally rocking the earth. It didn't help that Izuku was in his underwear. "We can fight forever, I will just come back knowing everything you can do," Izuku shouted, slugging All For One in the gut, but it seemed as the blow was absorbed. "I can tell you can't fight me forever, no matter what happens to me I can come back newer. You'll be tired of fighting me," Izuku said, using a stone to bash his head. "I've come back after I've died, you can't take my hits forever, wanna let me win," he shouted, throwing rapid punches at All For One. All For One couldn't keep up with his speed and output of his attacks. "But this is much more fun, this pain you feel is a lot better than beating you in one attack," Izuku proclaimed, dodging a lightning bolt. His body was moving with One For All perfectly and acclimated to it. "Every passing moment this cancer-ridden body is getting faster and stronger, I could care less about the blowback when it happens," he screamed as the quirks went wild under his control. All For One was trying to overpower Izuku, but One For All at its full strength, along with the extra quirk occasionally activating, was making it hard. His senses soon locked onto a group that were currently gathering a lot of energy in one spot. Grinning, his body turned into snow and went through Izuku. Izuku clapped, causing All For One to disperse into bits. "Thanks," he said, reforming and flying towards group that just so happened to the student, sapping the city's electricity from the power grid. "Oh shit," Izuku shouted, swinging towards All For One, and using Fajin he was able to build up a lot speed. "No you don't," Izuku shouted, tackling him into a building where they continued to battle, collapsing the building on top of them. "Hatsum, Midoriya is using different quirks," Shoto said, trying cool the railgun as it was heating up. "It looks like All Might gave him One For All," she said absent-mindedly, using a torch on her baby with Himiko helping her out with the wiring. "What's that?" Kirishima asked. "All Might's quirk that can be passed down and gains more power from each user." Mei answered with the building rumbling a bit. "All Might quirk is that?" Manama shouted. "Yeah, Izu told me a while ago. Looks like All Might gave the rest of his to him." Mei said, taking a bite of the sandwich, "This needs more mustard." The bar used her vines to reinforce the building, while the Momo and Kodai made more support beams on the ground floor. The rest were getting supplies to make sure that this thing got online enough to fire. All For One flew towards them, only for Izuku to use black to grab his foot. Then swung All For One through a building. "Stay away, bad kitty," Izuku shouted, avoiding an air cannon that hit a tower, obliterating it. "So much collateral damage, I wonder who will be blamed." All For One said as Izuku ignored him and floated in the air. "Let's put these quirks to work," Izuku said, excitedly activating Black Whip as it moved sporadically. It wrapped at the base of multiple buildings. Gritting his teeth, Izuku began to lift them. Slowly but surely Izuku uprooted the buildings and lifted them into the air as if it was a toy house. Using them, Izuku batted All For One around, then used them to smash on top of him. And again. And again. And again. And again. The all he had in his hands was just rumble. All For One dug his way out to see Izuku waiting on him. "I'm waiting, old man, or do I pull the plug early?" Izuku asked All For One. They clashed. This time Izuku was sent flying back. All For One coughed out blood. Using absorption and reflection still hurts a bit. He say, using the opening to dash towards the student as some of them would have useful quirks. He was a block away till he felt a tug on his foot. He saw a small wisp of Black Whip on him. Ripping it off, he continued his way. He suddenly caught a bullet that was aimed at his head. Looking up, he saw a dark blue and pink-colored short-haired woman with a sniper for an arm. "Hello," she stated, looking down at him from an icy ledge. All For One looked amused until suddenly the bullet exploded, ruining his arm. Then felt 3 bullets pierce him. They blew up as well. "Like them? I got more. One is named Arson. Guess what that one does?" Lady Negan stated, taking out a pistol to dual-wield her weapons. "Why is an ex-traitor hero here? Come with me and I can destroy the hero world you despise." All For One said, healing up completely. "I would, but it just so happens that another maniac got to me first and won my heart first," she says, jumping off the icy ledge and using a grappling hook to maneuver around. "Then you have no use." All For One stated, getting shot once and getting set on fire. "There's arson next, meet Ice Queen," Negan shouted as All For One was blindsided by an ice pillar from the ground. All For One was sent into the air and the night sky suddenly glowed bright blue. "Burn, bitch," Tuya shouted, blasting him with his wild blue fire. "Prominent jet burn," he shouted, scorching All For One. "Don't leave me out," Izuku shouted. Detroit Smash. He sent All For One into the ground. Then grabbed Ray and Negan with Black Whip. "You two shouldn't be here, but what you two just did was so hot," he said as Negan tried to push him away. "And not the time," she muttered as he hugged her. "Why yes, she is right," Ray said as Izuku nodded. Ray made an ice road that they stood upon. Tuya landed next to them. "What's the plan? He isn't going down," Tuya stated. "My bullets only hinder him," Negan added, "same with my ice. I got the more than enough strength and quirks to fight him one-on-one, but he will just stall me out," Izuku responded as he thought about a plan. "Dead endeavor and we are scorching him to death. If not, I will do something much more style," he said as he looked at Ray and Negan. Ray, help the students, Nagant you cover fire me. What will you do? She asked as Izuku smiled. Be the bait. Izuku dived toward the ground activating One for All and the rest of the quirk. Intercepting All for One getting up and tackling him to the ground. All of this just to kill me? All for One asked yes, what are you? Dumb. Izuku answered using Black Whip to grab his face and pull it towards his fist. Then smashed his fist into All for face. Suddenly both of them were ignited on fire by bright orange and blue flames. Detention don't let up Deadpool don't you die on me Endeavor shouted finally being able to fight. Whatever you say old man Detention responded increasing the heat as some of his skin burned. No All for One shouted as he burned. Shut up Izuku shouted locking him down with Black Whip and his strength. Inside the flames the two burned brightly. In an attempt to escape All for One began to tear Izuku off of him. Only for explosive bullets to halt him. You aren't leaving Izuku grunted out as he burned as well. I will send you to meet Mistress Death doubling his hold on All for One. Izuku heard the inner voices of One for All telling him to move. He looked up to see a Naomu come out of a portal. The Naomu crash upon him and bite down on his neck. Prying the jaws off he tore the off and found All for One to be attacking Endeavor. Who was still burning the man. Give me your quirk All for One shouted about to touch him only for his hand to be blasted off. Not slowing down he dived towards him. Then out of nowhere All for One was ripped in half by a massive bullet tore through him. Followed by a massive shockwave that they all took point blank. Mei cheered as railgun took out the lights of the entire city for the single shot. Load another this time a whole clip she shouted not noticing an ink portal opening. Out fell the burned and bullet filled All for One. Kitsuki went to attack only to be smacked into the building. Iida sped forward getting the same treatment. Using the opening Shoto made an ice ramp to slide Mei away from the man. Give me the child. All for One blasted the ice away as a chunk hit Mei in the forehead, causing her to bleed and fall back. Himiko rushed to cover her as Kyoka blasted her heartbeat through a massive speaker. All for One returned the favor by blasting her into the wall. Then did the same to the others that stood before him. Himiko transformed into Izuku and All for One tore her half from the stomach and untransformed the moment she the ground. Ray didn't get to move as she was impaled by his finger spikes. Izuku swung to the top of the building to see Mei having blood on her, Himiko in half, Kyoka against a bloody wall, Ray kneeling while bleeding, Kitsuki on the ground bleeding, and the others having similar fates. All for One reached for Mei's stomach as his vision went red. Izuku blitzed straight towards All for One and grabbed him by the hair. Then leaped off the building slamming the man into another building. Dragging his face down the wall leaving a bloody stain. Activating Black Whip Izuku wrapped it around All for One neck. Then began to strangle him, All for One slammed Izuku into the ground but he wouldn't let go. All for One grabbed his wrist touching the teleporting watch. Setting it to rapid fire the two teleported. Appearing all around the world while they fought. First appearing in New York destroying the Times Square then disappearing right in front of a blonde-haired woman that just so happened to be the #1 hero of America. The hell? Izuku and All for One reappeared in Italy crashing into the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Causing the tower to be set straight. Then crashed into the Sahara Desert making a massive cloud of sand. Then All for One launched them into another mound of sand turned glass. Izuku tightened his hold as they teleporting again. This time thousands of meters underwater where the two were being crushed by the pressure. Till they disappeared again. Reappearing above Yellowstone and landing in the scalding hot water that boiled them till again disappeared. This time inside Mt. Fuji the two burned and boiled in the magma that hardened on their skin as All for One tried to cool the magma. Till again they disappeared and reappeared somewhere else. They crashed upon a yellow-tinted land with yellow clouds. It was hot as well and they couldn't breathe the air. Even so Izuku continued strangle and beat All for One. Suddenly purple drops of water hit their skin melting it away with ease. The two then appeared on a blue land where the gravity was weighing them down and the two were sinking into ground. All for One and Izuku were teleporting everywhere Earth wasn't the only place they appeared. Across the galaxy they fought whether it be Pluto or Mercury. In one instance appeared in front of a purple giant. Also destroying an armada of ships in an outburst of energy from All for One. While also appearing all around Earth causing a lot of damage. Izuku held All for One down, pushing him towards the sun as the two burned away from the heat. Negan grappled to top of building to see the scene of what happened. She looked at the in-half toga to see that she was still moving. Rushing over are you okay? She asked the cut-in-half woman. No, I am in half just put my bottom half closer so I can do what Zuzu does. She responded. Negan not questioning it what she was told and Himiko was able to get up properly. Did not know you could do that. Negan said surprised, neither did I maybe because I drank a lot of Zuzu's blood so my body adapted to the constant influx of his healing cells. So due to All for One ripping me in half caused enough pain and or stress to force my body assimilate and copy weaker version of his healing. But that's just a guess. Himiko says as she went around feeding her blood to the injured. As they healed, another building was slammed into, revealing a very burnt Izuku and All For One still fighting. They aren't stopping. Rei says as Himiko healed and closed her wound. We can't stop it, but we can help. Endeavor stated, landing next to them and looked at Rei. Then walked away as Tuya arrived. Burning won't kill. Tuya says, but it will help. Shoto stated, walking up. Then let's go. Endeavor says, taking off as Izuku raised his hand into the air. Texas Smash, he shouted, crushing All For One's head in, and did it again. Shoto made covered the two in an ice tube that the trio shot their fire into, turning it into a blast furnace. Let me go, All For One yelled, flipping Izuku to the ground. But I don't love you, Izuku shouted, uppercutting him into the air. Following it up by using Black Whip to pull him down, then punching him in the gut. Going right through as if he was Play-Doh. You hurt them, Izuku said, stopping All For One from warping away. Don't run. He said as the fire burned around the two. The two of them looked like skeletons with burned flesh that refused to pass on. The fire burned brightly as Izuku stood over him. He leaned to the side, dodging an attack from All For One, who was on his last legs. Izuku picked him up and activated One For All, pushing it past its limits. Nana and the rest told him calm down, but Izuku ignored their pleas. He smashed All For One into the ground, then grabbed a lampist and stabbed it right through All For One. Pinning him to the ground as Izuku floated up and used Black Whip. It acted out of control, but he forced it under his control. It glided through the air towards the railgun. It wrapped around it and teared it off the roof. A single strand of Black Whip went to the girls, patting their heads, but whirled around May to see if she was okay. Railgun was held by Izuku as he aimed it at All For One. Then without warning he shot, then again. All until the clip was empty, so Izuku grabbed the barrel of the gun. About to get a hole in one, he shouted, hitting the remains of ancient villain back into the crater that was Kamino. By the time All For One landed there, Izuku was already there waiting for him. By this point All For One was just a torso with a head, no arm or legs. He was still breathing, but barely. You know this, all of this would have been avoided if you just left me and my family alone. I would have let you and the doctor go, but knew you just had to do this. Izuku said. Blood exited his mouth as One For All was still on. If you come back, this will look like a cakewalk compared to what I will do to you if you come back. He said, with All For One shooting an energy blast of lightning at Izuku. Using danger sense, Izuku dodged it. Might as well have fun since you decided to do that. Can't have the viewer see what I'm about to do. Izuku said, activating smokescreen. All For One, not wanting to find out, grew multiple limbs that wrapped around Izuku. In an attempt to simulate him, All For One was torn off by Izuku. Though he was able to absorb chunks off Izuku. Healing him rapidly. Just stay down, Izuku yelled, doing a downwards kick. The helicopter that recorded the fight couldn't see even through the smoke. Neither could any of the students or pros. Mei was being carried by Ichako as they all rushed to see if Izuku was okay and if the battle was finally over. Tuya, Shoto, and Endeavor ran forwards as well. Rei and Nagant were using her ice ramps to travel to get to the scene. Endeavor watched her and looked down, activating his flames to fly forward. Tuya was being cooled down by Shoto as his body was burned from his fire. All of a sudden a massive explosion happened within the smoke. It expanded till it just dissipated, leaving a very injured Izuku that collapsed forward. All For One limped to the side, badly injured. Haha, always have a backup plan. All For One says, with most of his body being gone. He suddenly threw up blood and began to fall apart. Pushed it too far. I have enough strength to, so he didn't perfect it. Izuku excitedly said, getting up after his own attack was reflected back at him. He activated One For All, and it sparked crazily. Till suddenly One For All faded from him. Sorry, you ran out of time, but I'll stay with you to see this through to the end. Nana spoke to him as All For One smiled. Looks like the little embers you had ran out. Ha 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 ha, now I definitely don't have anything to fear on beating me. He was silenced as a massive explosion hit him. Along with multiple familiar quirks hit All For One. All For One went to retaliate to incinerate them, only to get interrupted by a massive wave of ice from Shoto and Rei. All For One bursted out with Izuku rushing towards him. Landing a blow on him that hurt All For One a lot more than he thought it would. Izuku pummeled All For One as the others shot off their quirks at the two of them. Beat his ass, Nana shouted in his head as he grinned. With pleasure, my undead friend. Izuku says, tanking multiple javelins that pierced through him, hitting All For One. Using them, Izuku impaled All For One and used the extra one to bat his head, bending the weapon. All of you will just die, you bastard, Katsuki shouted, sending another explosion at the battered All For One. Izuku teleported out the way and reappeared with a land shark. Jeff, I choose you, he shouted, throwing Jeff at him. Jeff's jaws locked onto his face and he mauled All For One, ripping off his face. Izuku grabbed him back while throwing a bucket of Mina's acid on his face. Izuku went to attack again as his body began rupturing out of nowhere. Causing him to fall forward and his body wasn't healing anymore. Looks like One For All did leave a lasting effect on your body. Nana said, I couldn't tell, maybe you should be a fortune teller. He groaned, trying to push himself up. Don't be snippy about it. You knew about the strain it could have. Nana says as All for One was set on fire again for the 100th time. What's the plan? I am officially out of ideas. He muttered with his body refusing to listen to him. Well, you could use one of my super moves I made when I was alive. Nana suggested. What do I do? Oh, all you have to do is get him in the air and use gravity to burn him. To make sure, just get to atmosphere and do what I said while using him as a shield. Nana says as Izuku thought about it. What's it called? Meteor. I like it. He says, reaching for his watch in the right moment. Kendo, throw me at him, and I know I have been the best. Kendo didn't let him finish, she just threw him with a lot of force. Izuku smiled as he got closer to All for One. His body crashed into him, then he bit down on his neck and teleported to the highest point he could do in the atmosphere. The two fell towards the ground as Izuku did his best to hold All for One in front of him. Let me go. All for One began to burn away as Izuku got burned as well. Both were re-entering the atmosphere very fast. You die tonight. Later the doctor will as well, for everything you've taken from me, for all the bullshit you put me through for something that belonged to me, Izuku screamed at All for One. He laughed as he burned. Very well, Izuku Midoriya. Don't act as if you won, for everything that you love or care for will disappear from you. All for One says. Izuku looked at him angrily. Don't act like you're on top. You are going to die right now. Nana spoke through Izuku as All for One grinned. Looks like the dead just won't disappear even after they've expired. Hell will open wide for you tonight, and I will see it happen after what you did to my family, so go suck the devil's dick. I agree, now let's us all burn together. The trio plummeted towards the earth with All for One soon being reduced to ashes before them. Izuku fell, not being able to slow down. He thought about the future as he fell. The fire didn't even hurt him, though it still burned him. His teleporter was out of charge, so he was lucky enough he had enough to do the one jump. His body crashed in the crater that Kamino, not being to move as his healing factor hasn't kicked in and his body was too damaged to move. His classmate ran to him. Mei grabbed his body, ignoring that his body was very hot. That it burned her hands as she checked her lover. She sighed in relief as she heard his heartbeat. Shoto used his ice to cool Izuku down as they all watched and were worried. Though soon they all saw red and blue lights flashing with the police running towards them and some heroes. You are all under arrest, one yelled through a megaphone. Deadpool is #1 priority. We just got done fighting the big villain that All Might couldn't take out. Kyoka said, putting her hands up. Mei, grab Izuku and get out of here. Ibara says as Himiko nodded. Go home. Himiko said, transforming into Izuku. You heard her. Negan stated, putting away her sniper arm. Mei looked at them as they all made a wall between them and the hero's police. Enki charged up the watch enough for one jump. Mei typed the location on the watch as they got closer. Suddenly a wall of fire bright orange halted the police and other heroes. They are under arrest by my name. Endeavor said, stopping them. He looked at Mei and nodded. She took the opening, then teleported away with Izuku. She reappeared in front of a run-down pizzeria and slowly opened the door to peer inside. The tables and chairs were all destroyed, but the stage was almost untouched. The animatronics were off on the stage and she smiled. This is just a fixer-upper. She says, dragging Izuku in. Heading towards the security room, she grabbed spare blanket that was left behind. She left it and gingerly slid her hand down the wall of the hallway. All the posters were very dirty and dusty. The memories of this location still very much alive, the good ones and the bad ones. It still was her first home. She rubbed her stomach. Can't wait for you, and you will soon need a name. She says, thinking about it for a bit. Oh, I know, organic baby #1, it just fits. She walked to Izuku was passed out from his final move. Mei wrapped the blanket around the both of them. His healing factor finally kicked in as he slowly healed as she held him. It's been a long day. You came to save me, with all our friends. So rest, Izuku Midoriya Bakugo. Mei says, ruffling his regrow hair. Someday that will be my name, so just wait for me. She said, falling asleep, laying his head on her lap while placing her hand on her stomach. Back at the destroyed bar, an inky portal opened to reveal a disheveled and sweating doctor. He wore large goggles and a lab coat. Damn it, the failure got in my way. He muttered, moving around the debris. Deadpool, you slowed me, but you did not stop me. He says, finding what he was after. In front of him lay the severed right arm of Izuku. It was the one that was sliced off by Kurigiri's portal. Not what I wanted, but it will work for now till I get more parts to swap. He says, disappearing through the portal. Aftermath. His eyes soon fluttered open and felt his body crunch inwards in pain. Spitting out blood, Izuku coughed like no tomorrow. Jesus, looks like using a quirk that is basically the best steroid in the world bucks you up, he says as his healing factor was still trying to do its job. You think? Nana spoke up. Izuku looked around, not being able to see her. Why are you still in my head? No idea, but my best guess is that when One for All faded and I stayed behind, I fragmented myself. Leaving part of me here and the other with the quirk and other holders, but that is just a guess. She stated while Izuku wrapped his head around the logic. Seems legit, Izuku said, accepting the said logic. Looks like I got another voice in my head now. Izu, quiet down. I am very tired and hungry from last night. Where you fraud and destroyed Kamino and any other nearby cities that I don't care to remember the names of. Mei yawned while stretching. The two locked eyes for a moment, then scanned where two were laying. Is this? Yep, it's mess. Mei stated, carefully getting up. Yeah, that is partially on me. He says, checking on her while Nana decided to let them have their moment and went to sleep. Mei instantly energized and started to organize the best she could. Come on, our home won't fix itself. Plus we have to fix our friends, they need to rest as well. She says, turning on the power to the pizzeria once more, and it came to life once more. He smiled at her. Yeah, let's do it together. He says, picking up a knocked over table with one arm. Looks like one for all, destroying my body over and over, then getting healed made me stronger. He says as Mei caressed his body. You feel more dense, like your muscles feel a lot more compact and tighter. Mei says, still feeling him up. Mei says, feeling up Izuku's muscles. Mei. He called her name many more times to no avail. So he just let get her fill of touching his new upgraded body. She had the face of a love-struck person. 20 minutes later, Mei snapped out her stupor and her face felt red hot. Along with having a strand of drool coming out her mouth. Wha? You done, honey butt? He asked as she looked done and nodded. Why yeah, I don't know what came over me. She muttered with Izuku hugging her. It's alright. He said. She continued again, moving her hands along his back while hugging him. Well, now you are just addicted. Izuku said, squeezing one of her butt cheeks. Mei stopped, that sorta felt good. She says as Izuku let go and she pouted. The two got back to work cleaning and Mei was able to find her secret tool stash that she hid in the ground. Which was very convenient, almost like, well, let's not go there and go on. The two worked on repairing their friends with minor setbacks. Mainly Izuku being sent back flying or being choked out by the fuzzy rabbit and bear. Thought with a lot work and his healing factor preventing him too from dying. They fixed their animatronics friends. Though one blow landed on his head, causing him to remember something he left behind. I remember, he shouted, darting towards the security office and kicked open a locked cabinet to reveal a dusty pair of steampunk goggles that were never returned to their rightful owner. Strolling back to Mei very happily, he presented her iconic goggles. "The baby number one, you're alive. I thought your daddy destroyed you on one of his missions when we were separated," she says, cuddling the goggles. "Let's put them where they belong," Izuku stated, placing them upon Mei's head. Covering Mei's hair in dust, but that was nothing compared to grease or oil. Do I look good? Since I do look like whale right now," she asked him, looking for a real answer. "Whoever said didn't look good? You can be all dirty and sweaty and I would still be proud to parade you around for my being my lover," he reassured, picking her up and spinning her around. "Plus you are about 2 months away from giving us a kid." Mei sighed in relief as she for some reason began to feel self-conscious of her looks. It was a new feeling that she hasn't really ever felt due to the fact she lived not caring for others' opinions. "Well, that made me a lot feel better, thank you," she muttered, getting back to work on cleaning their home. Izuku joined in as well, making sure she didn't overburden herself picking up destroyed items. Working as a team, the duo were able to complete the task of cleaning pizzeria. Though it looked empty since a lot of the furniture needed to be replaced for the fact a lot of it was broken. They needed to throw them out in the dumpster. Mei looked around, noting what they needed to buy and replace. In her mind, she could see the pizzeria up and running with children running around, eating pizza, and with the animatronics walking around playing with the kids. Soon the vision faded from her mind as her goals for her life were changing. "I think I know what I want to do after get out of UA. A hero, or is it still world best inventor?" Izuku asked her as she shook her head. "No. I will be an inventor, but I want us to finally reopen this place." I mean, the two of you and the others had a lot of fun here. So think how much our little could have, make lots of friends, eat pizza, and have a base to have adventures in," Mei says, trying to tell him her vision for the future. "By that time you should be done with your revenge," she says with a lot of excitement. "That sounds like a great idea, but give at least 5 years before this place reopens." "Why that long?" she asked, trying to think of a reason for that specific number. 5 years, so I can make sure that I have no loose ends. "So we can do this," Izuku says as she nods. "I think we should celebrate with a drink. Let's go see Wilson," she said, getting up. "It's Weasel, but yeah, I haven't seen that hawk sucker in a while," he responded, getting the dust off him. Mei practically dragged him by the hand, trying to get to the place. The two were very excited to see the place again. Opening the door, the two strutted in to see the lively place. "Well, if it isn't broccoli-haired menace," Weasel says to him, "but it is him." Mei responded, confused why Weasel said Izuku wasn't Izuku. "It's just a saying," Izuku said as they say in their seats. "Anything new happen?" "Yeah, All Might retired, but due to that all of us are getting jobs left, right and center," he says, sliding Mei chocolate milk. "Sounds nice to be a mercenary right now." Izuku says, chugging down his drink. Weasel looked at him worried. What? Something tells me you haven't seen the news or anything that has to do with last night. He stated, but I can't be sure. Well, you're right. What's happening? Izuku asked. Look at for yourself. Weasel said, turning on the news. Showing his face in the most wanted man across the planet. When you teleported while fighting, you cause a lot of damage. Around the entire world, so you are highly sought after right now. Like the entire world wants you to go to prison or dead. Weasel tells Izuku as he got another drink. All Might is down, Kamino is in shambles, every country hates you, and a lot of heroes are coming from all around of the world to here to get you. Weasel tells Izuku as he takes it all in. As of 3 hours ago, all the perpetrators that helped Deadpool last night have been arrested. They will be held at UA till Tartarus has enough space. The newswoman says through the TV. Okay, we have to get to UA to get the real story. He says, getting up as May stood up as well. Yeah, looks the people want someone to hate. Seems they chose you over that quirk stealing guy. Also, you didn't get followed here, right? He asked as Izuku turned slowly to the door. May, when I picked you up, hold on tight. Izuku informed her, then promptly picking her up. He dashed through the door to find the entrance surrounded by heroes. But him. Take him in. One ordered as they all activated their quirks. Sorry, I got he looked at May, a package to deliver. Yeah, that one sucked. Izuku said, running forward, kicking one hero in the face, then launching himself off another's body. He landed on the roof, instantly ran full speed while making giant leaps. From rooftop to rooftop he jumped. Avoiding any heroes that popped out from nowhere. Come on, he shouted, flipping forward, dodging an incoming icicles. Then sliding to dodge elongated limbs. Long arms, that is her quirk. Honey, take a left, May shouted as he did. He saw a massive wave of water past him. Leaping to the roofs again, he blocked a jab at him with his arm. With a high kick he knocked out the opposing hero. At him, all around him were heroes that charged at him and May. Buck off, I got a package to deliver, you fame-seeking whore that your own parents use for money. He bulldozed past them and hopped off the roof, landing on a bus. May, you good? He asked her. I'm quite alright. Why are talking British? Thought it would lighten the mood. She said as he nodded. Well, it did. Now let's get to our friends. He stated, dodging a feather and a rabbit kick. Gotta be kidding. He muttered as he heard the roar of a dragon. Let deal with this quick. Eraserhead and Vlad King looked at their students. Who were all handcuffed to chairs and staring back. Jeff was also cuffed, sitting next to Jiro. Before we start, you any of you have an excuse for going out last night? Aizawa asked as none answered. Good, cause nothing you said would have excused what happened. Okay, you went on a mission to save Hatsune. A lot of you were hospitalized before it, so you left while injured. Stole a bus and got in a car chase with the police. He started to list off every law they broke along with the pages upon pages of quirk laws they broke. Some laws they've never heard of were on the list he mentioned. After hearing all that, do any of you regret what you did? Vlad asked them. No, I do not regret helping my friend who was in need of help, nor do I regret helping my lover. Ibarra spoke up as the rest voiced very similar response to hers. Aizawa listened to them all and nodded. As your teacher, this is single-handedly the worst class I've had with rule following. Along with fact, I deeply disappointed in all of you. He said, continuing forward, telling them that he was disappointed in all their actions. Seriously, did any of you think this through? He said as Denki tried to raise his hand. It was a rhetorical, Kaminari. Denki put down his hand. Endeavor walked up with Tuya that was patched up from his burns. You done yet? Endeavor asked almost. Aizawa turned back to them. Look, I am not mad. Just really disappointed in you as your teacher. He stated, making them feel bad as if they disappointed their parent. But as a hero you all did great. He spoke up, causing them to be confused. You evacuated the civilians before the battle got close to them or building collapsed on them. Also, none of you got too injured, thank you Toga for that, but next time don't get ripped in half. So we are not getting in trouble? Mina asked. Oh no, you all in trouble. There is no way around that. You all broke hundreds of laws. Vlad King says as the door busted open to reveal a bloody Izuku and a May that was wrapped in bubble wrap ball and wearing a helmet. At back here, I want a rematch, hot stuff, Maruko shouted, held the door shut. Help me, I only knock her out, I didn't know she had a fighting kink, he shouted, afraid as he stared at them all. Nagant walked in with a beer with Ray, who held tea. Hey Nagant, help me with the door, Izuku shouted as her foot smashed through the door close to his head. Here's Maruko. Ah, Izuku shouted in fear and Nagant looked at him as sighed. I really chose him. She thought, walking up to May. You good? I am going to take that as a yes. She responded as Maruko busted through the door. Where is he? Nagant shot her with a knockout dart. You think that will? Nagant shot her with 6 more. Maruko then fell over asleep. Izuku hugged Nagant, shoving his head into her chest. Thank you so much, he shouted into them. You owe me. She says, walking away with a red face. The rest stared at the scene as Izuku cleared his throat. I got a plan. No. As always says, is it because I am covered blood? I promise it's mine. He clarifies, not the problem here. Let me be the scapegoat. I'm being blamed for everything, All Might's retirement, Kamino, and anything else I did while fighting All for One. Tell Nezu that I am the scapegoat, he will agree, can't have my friends go to jail for helping me. Izuku says as Aizawa looked at him. No, there has to be a better way than let you get held for something you couldn't control. He stated, rubbing his hair. I can't let my student be dragged into a cell. Even if it's you. Plan. Insanity plea. No way, Toga shouted from chair, attempting to get up. Then forgetting that she was cuffed, causing her to fall to the ground. Just because I'm on the ground doesn't mean what I said before is denied, she yelled, trying to get up. Look, the world needs someone to hate. I tried to be a hero, and I ended up causing a lot of destruction. Izuku says, pick her with ease and breaking the cuff off her. Stepping over the sleeping Maruko. But still, you beat the guy who crippled All Might twice. They are as blind as bats if they think you are the bad guy, she whined, hugging Izuku. I agree with her. Kyoka said, using her jacks to pick her cuff to get out. They heard coughing, so they turned their heads to see Toshinori Yagi walking to them while trying to. Grant Reno was by his side, holding him up. Don't push it, you fool, go to sleep, you need to rest. Not now, Izuku, you did well, he says, stumbling to him as Grant Reno watched. Cost me an arm, but it was worth it. He stated, getting his bearings. I can. You can't heal this, but I know you would still try. How is it, one for all I mean? He asked Izuku as he thought about it. Great, just peachy, got to meet some dead people, break my body 100 times over so I feel as good as the canon version of me, also might have another voice in my head. He responded as All Might nodded. Well, at least I know you are still your version of okay. Yagi says, sitting down a chair, holding his shoulder. All for One is gone. I believe it was worth my condition right now. All we need to do is save Shigaraki. He'll be easy. He coughed into a handkerchief, spitting blood. What is this pitiful form, All Might? Endeavor asked as Toshinori looked at him. My real self. I am no longer All Might, nor can I even act it. Endeavor, you need to step up, take my place to be a new symbol. I didn't want it like this, I didn't want to be the number one like this, he shouted as his flames extinguished. Shocking Ray, Shoto and Tuya, you have to. Out of everyone I know as a hero, you are the only one capable of stepping up for it. You may never be as strong as me, but it was for that reason I was the cause of the society. The way people act toward danger is not normal, I need you fill in the spot to show a proper hero. Rely on others to help you stand tall, as by yourself you can't be me. Toshinori told him as Endeavor listened to his words. Don't do it like me, do it like you, Toshinori says, getting up and tapping Endeavor's chest. Enji Todoroki looked at Rei, Shoto and Tuya. Then looked down, I see, can't I am not a hero. For what I've done and cause for my own greed. Anybody can change for the most part. Izuku spoke up after releasing everyone else. It takes a lot to do so. I know I've tried to change. It's been hard. Compared to my earlier self and his fic, I've changed. I don't say as many jokes nor do I kill that often anymore. Trying to lay low so May wouldn't stress over me was hard, trust me. I wanted to kill a man who said the new Stars trilogy is good and said the same for the prequels. He said, unwrapping May from the bubble wrap. Am I a good person? No, I am not. Every time I've been blown to pieces I think to myself, okay Izuku, you literally a new person, so don't buck it up this time, and then I buck it up. It's actually so hard to actually change. I know you can because I read the Bucken manga, you are in strides in there. Izuku stated as Enji looked at him and walked away. Tuya followed after him. It's good that you are also trying. Kiro. Tsuyu praises him. Thanks Tsu. He said as she patted his head. The entire class all gave Izuku a warm hug, a moment that he really enjoyed. Tuya caught up to Enji as he looked at him. Not now Tuya, go with your mother. My mother? She is in a different sit. Drop the act. I know it's you. I've been knowing for a while now. He says, looking at his injured son. How? I'm a really good detective and there is a reason out of all the heroes I have the most crime solved even compared to All Might. He says as Tuya looked in disbelief. I can't call myself your father. I didn't believe in you. I raised your hopes then crushed them, then you felt as I replaced you with your siblings. Enji said, lighting his hand on fire. I told you to quit and you didn't, guess you got your stubbornness from me. Your body rejected your quirk, it is very powerful. He said to Tuya, you continued to train till your bones ached and skin blistered. If I had shown up to your training area, what would I see? He asked, remembering Tuya's old request for his attention. Attention he didn't give him. This I was able to make this with ease. Tuya stated, lighting his hand on fire, the difference being his was bright blue. At the age of 15 you learned how to shoot blue flames. You are truly a prodigy like your siblings. You know, I couldn't do that till I was 25. Enji said, extinguishing his fire, I still have trouble with it now. Look at you, you can shoot it whenever you want. Why now, why are telling this now? You replaced me, told me to quit, I want nothing else but to ruin you, Tuya shouted him, why haven't you? Look, I am not asking you to forgive me, I am going to do my best to change. If that guy says I can, then I will. Enji says as Tuya looked down. I fought by your side, saw the things that villains could do. Last night prove how out of our depth we are to them. I see why you wanted a child to surpass All Might because this world needs it. Tuya says looking at his burns that were healing. I will make sure that you change for the better. So when you are at your peak I can show that I surpassed you, Tuya said as Enji nodded, also mom moved on. Just because he said he would help does not mean he can't be salty about it. I know just you two visit your siblings. They miss the two of you greatly. Enji said looking at his phone to see a lot more heroes are coming for Izuku. We have to fix the mess that Dumbus left us anyway. Yeah we do. Tuya stated as he looked at his phone to see over 1,000 messages and 100 missed calls. Or not. I am dead when I get home, she definitely going to kill me for this. Nezu looked at Izuku as he stared back. So I kick ass, get caught, go to trial, try to plea for insanity, if in some miracle it doesn't work, get some time in jail, and leave being pardoned of all my crimes. Did I get that right? Izuku asked the mouse as he nodded. Yes, that is my plan and it goes right, you should be out by the time your child is due along with the others that are soon to pass their 6th week. For that I would recommend that all women that have had any intimate relations with Mr. Midoriya here go see Recovery Girl. Nezu said with Himiko spitting out her drink. I'm pregnant. How? Wait, don't answer that, I know how. She said thinking back a bit. Rei felt as she was going faint and Abara did faint. Kyoka looked at her chest, so they did get bigger. More organic babies, May thought as she came up ideas for all their potential quirks or mutant ability. Nagant looked at them and just drank her beer, couldn't be me. Haha. She thought. Mom is going to kick your ass. Kitsuki said as the rest of the guys cheered for Izuku being a dad. Good thing I get to hide for a bit, rather take jail than her. But Tsuki suddenly bent her spoon mid-meal. Ha, I feel like I should kick my son's ass. She said bending the spoon back properly. Don't kill the boy. Masaru said applying makeup on his shoulders. When are you going to stop covering them up? I think they're hexy. She says as he sighed, when they don't stop me from getting a job or fired. Processing. So here is what we are going to do, we are going have a fun nice chapter of wacky adventures that I've had in the past couple of days. My eyes locked onto the little girl in my arms. Koda run, I shouted as we took off running. What went wrong? He asked as I looked at him. I am carrying a bag full of jewels, a bunch of weird crap from that one lab that I thought was cool, and this jar that holds special arachnid. Did you think it wasn't suspicious? I asked the boy. When you say like that I sound stupid. Koda says as I grab him. A large group of scientists try to form wall to halt or slow me. Koda bagel. Bagel. He handed me the bagel, I chuck it hitting one in the face causing him to fall. Charging through the crowd, knocking them all to the ground with my overwhelming strength. I could probably throw a car with ease or something. What was the point of the bagel? He asked me as I chuckled, why not? Plus he looked at me funny. I said using the bag of jewels as a mace. Oh, okay. Koda said holding onto my back. Are you a bad guy? He asked me as I thought about it. A lot of people call me a vigilante or anti-hero. I says ducking and dodging a laser. I think you are a good guy. You think I'm a good man? Yeah, you saved me and All Might, also lots more people. Purple Hair told me how you saved her too, Koda said as I listened whilst remembering the night I met Kyo. Grinning I smashed my way through the rest and catching a blade, then promptly broke it. I teleport to a safe spot and put down my new haul. Then I noticed I was lacking a child. Oh shit. Teleporting back I grabbed Koda who was spraying water at them. Then get back to the safe spot. Sorry. I said as he flipped me off. That's fair. Grabbing the stuff we took from the lab we began to sort it out. Till someone walked in. Whatever I think is happening, is happening. It better not be. Mandalay says with a wooden spoon her hand along with wearing an angry expression. I took him out on a little adventure. I say as she pointed at the screen showing me and Koda in a blurry video stealing a lot of stuff from my island. Trying to think of an excuse quickly was hard, but I had help. Tell her she is very pretty. Nana says in my head. You're hot. I says as I felt a smack in the back of my head from Nana. Which somehow hurt me, I will chalk it up to weird ghost stuff. Mandalay's cheek slowly turned pink from my response. Koda was looking at the jar as it slipped out his hand. It shattered on the ground releasing the arachnid inside. It scurried away before he could grab it. Koda swiftly looked at his aunt and Izuku to see the two were talking. For some reason they were getting oddly really close to each other. He cleaned his mess and acted if nothing happened. If they asked him anything he'll just play dumb. Yep, that was the plan. What spider? Yep, that is how I will say it. So you mind giving me an invite into your life? I asked as she wrapped her hands around my neck as mine rested on her hips. I don't know, I know a lot about yours, but I do need to pay you back for saving my nephew again. She says getting her face real close to mine. We were about to seal the deal until another came. I called dibs, you thief, Pixie, Bob shouted walking and grabbing me away from her. Pixie, don't be like that. Let's all calm down. Ragdoll says not so secretly trying to pull me away. You two thieving bitch. I place my finger on her lips, quieting her down. Don't be like that, let's just enjoy each other. I said to her as her eyes became hearts. Tiger, take Kota out for a bit. She says as he obliged. Tiger, you could join in too. Izuku says as Tiger turned down the offer. Worth a shot. I didn't leave till the morning after making them a nice American breakfast. You were amazing lover boy. Pixie Bob says, giving me a kiss on cheek. Ditto. Ragdoll said, latching onto my back. The three wore just t-shirt and panties. So I felt her fun bags on my back. Who would have thought that we did this? Mandalay announced, munching on her pancakes. Yeah, who would have thought? One question, does this make him my uncle or something? Kota spoke up as we all sat down at the table. I don't know actually. I say, looking at Shino. What do you say? I asked. She pondered it and placed her hand on mine, then gave me a kiss. Nana spoke up in my head. I guess that's your answer, Deadpool. I can't really let you out my life now, can I? Shino says as Kota air-fisted. This is awesome, he shouted, a new member of the family has been added. Tiger says, taking a photo of the moment. Oh, I had to leave as I needed to find a certain sidekick. I am not a sidekick, Negan shouted, kicking me. Catching it. Hey, wanna go on a date? Yes, she shouted, retracting her leg from my hand. I mean, sure. The two of us decided to go out drinking for a bit. Things got out of hand very quickly when we got a hold of some very expensive and strong beverage that just so happened to be alcoholic. Also happened to be located in one of the homes of the Heroes Association top brass. Negan held it in her hands as the room filled with heroes and agents. Guns aimed at us with quirks activating. Was it worth it? I asked as she held onto as if it was her child. Yes, now let's deal with this, look at yours. She stated, transforming her arm into her main weapon. That's a new one, and here comes the bitch. Izuku, Midoriya and Kaine Tsutsumi. Said the owner of the home, which was located in a skyscraper. She was current leader of the Hero Association. The old one mysteriously died after getting suspicious hit on him. I would take it that you two have fornicated with each other. She says as I reached into my back pocket of my shorts. Rather keep that part of my life a secret. I say, pulling out a massive rubber hammer. Kaine looked at him with a confused face. Can't be killing anymore. I say, swinging it with a lot of power behind it, impacting the wall. Creating a massive hole, and we leap out, evading everything that was thrown at us. We fall as they all look at us from the hole. So what next? I asked as she thought about it. Let's see, let's go somewhere chill. She said to him, so I grinned, latching onto her. We teleported to certain kingdom I own. Where is this place? She asked as I put on my crown. Deadpoolopolis, my very own kingdom filled with self-proclaimed monsters. That will do whatever I say. I said as she held the bottle. So are you going to drink? I asked as she shook her head. No. We are going to save this for a special day. Plus I just wanted to piss her off that she couldn't stop us. She told me, placing it on a shelf of my kingly room. So I decided to give her a tour of the kingdom and meet everybody. Soon she was measured, then was given a gown and crown. What is this? She asked. A ball of hair with legs and arms. You're a queen, so look like one. Give this a kingdom and heir so our amazing king can retire when he wants. She stated, rolling away. That was a thing. She says, putting holding the dress. It's nice. Kinda thought. I look at my kingdom, thinking of what May would do to this place. I've only told her about this place, I've yet to bring her here. I turned around to see Negan in a pure white dress that really brought out her curves. You look hot. I say as I get another smack in the back of my head from Nana. Don't say that, say something more meaningful. I did, it's a compliment, I shouted, looking more crazy. Negan looked at him as she seriously considered her feelings. No, why him, why? My heart longs for him, but why? I never had any other serious relationships, and he is my closest to being my first. I put all of life on being a hero, I didn't get anything meaningful out of it. She thought as Izuku continued to argue with himself. But he showed me that I was being used. I need to go to therapy for my many problems. That I am going ignore for tonight and get rid of something Al has been telling me to. She thought, grabbing Izuku, dragging him back into the room. Hey, what going on? I asked as she shut door and pushed me onto my bed. I see kinda pop out her boobas from her dress. She grabs the candle that lit the room and blew it out. Darkness filled the room with my eyes adjusted to the dark. Let's cuddle a bit. She said into his ear, feeling a shiver go up his spine. The monsters on the outside could hear very loud moans. HMMMP seems she followed my advice. The hairball monster says, as I foresee a terrible future for us all. Shut it, you, it's always bad futures with you. Another monster says, walking past. Asshole. I heard that. Eek. The morning soon came as two crawled out of bed from each other's arm. Putting on our normal cloths kinda was much more affectionate now. Not that I was complaining. We teleported back to the city. To get some food in our stomachs after the long night. His new phone rang yellow. Do you really answer your phone like that? Night, I ask me up now, what do you need? Knock out All Might since he won't lay in bed. That would be great, but no, I need you for a mission. Something I think only you could do properly. He stated as I listened. So is it the mob? Kidnapper? Mirio having problems? Yakuza they are doing experimentations. Night I said as it piqued my interest. So the mob. I say as kinda held my hand walking. Got a description on it leader and who is getting tortured. It's a child. Looks. The leader wears a bird-like mask and the girl not much is known, but what I can gather is she is young around 8 or 9. No higher than that. They have begun to move due to All Might and you being out of action for so long. They do not fear you anymore. Suddenly someone crashes into my side and I look over to see a white-haired child with bandages. Oh no. I muttered as a man walked through the shadows of the alleyway. Who's there? Call you back in a bit. I said hanging up the phone grabbing the girl. This may be strange, but I am here to help. I tell her as the man showed himself wearing a bird mask. Can you give me my child? Here we go. Eerie retrieval. Holding the girl, Izuku looked at the man who matched the exact description that I told him. You mind giving me my daughter back? He asked menacingly as Izuku stared into his golden eyes. Yes sure I know how kid can be I am having one soon myself. He said with a happy face. Picking up the scared little girl and about to hand her to the man. The Yakuza leader opened his arms to receive his labyrinth. Izuku at the last second pulled her away from his arms, then raised his right leg, surprise kick he shouted kicking the man and sending him flying back into the alley. Kinda take her run he shouted at Nagant about to take the child. Until the entire floor caved in and a wall appeared to prevent her from taking her. I tried to be nice the man shouted. Hundreds of moving spikes darted towards them. Izuku noticed he had no regard for the girl's safety. How low do you go Izuku shouted raising her above his head as he was impaled by the spikes. They drove deeply into his body as the leader trudged towards him. Eri was untouched by the spikes as Izuku was stuck in them. I can always put her back together. He said with Izuku trying to escape his new thorny cage that made his body look like Swiss cheese. If you dropped her you might have gotten away with your life. Says the man that looks like he would die from a cough. How about you take off your mask seems like you can't breathe right. Izuku says with a spike piercing through his chest. You can still talk. Ha looks like adrenaline does wonders. He stated as Izuku spat into his eyes. It's more than that you purple sash wearing Tauken Izuku shouted as the leader whipped his eyes and placed his hand on Izuku's head. What wrong can't take a little jur suddenly his entire body erupted into a massive pool of blood. The little girl fell to the ground in the pool of blood. Looking in horror she looked around. Her hands were coated in blood, she screamed in terror. Shut it, Eri. The leader stated grabbing her by the hair. All of this is your fault, monster. He dragged her by the hair, stop Eri whispered as he pulled even harder into the alleyway. Negan finally blasted through the 10-foot thick wall with her rifle. Izuku she shouted running in. The landscape was utterly destroyed. Tracking the spine she gasped at the ones covered in blood. Now can you do me a favor? Mistress Death asked Izuku as he floated in his astral form. Yes, anything for you. He says giving her a kiss. Kill that man he has been killing and reviving the little one. Her soul is tormented and withering. I can't harvest it, nor can I kill him my position forbids me from it. Though my lover here can. She says pushing her bony fingers through his hair. Also Nana I will get the rest you and the others eventually. You can see me? She asked as Death nodded. That is a promise what I've just stated. Izuku kill that man by the end of the day. Death says turning her to him and floating past Nana. I will he was suddenly ripped from her plane of existence. His astral form dove right into the pool of blood. Gaining consciousness his hand shot up from the pool of his own blood. Nagant watched as he pulled himself out. Regenerating the moment the body part touched the air. Soon he was all healed and grabbing his bloody cloths he dressed himself. Aina, go to UA I am going to go deal with something and I am not risking you. He says as she nodded planting a kiss upon his lips. You better get that girl before the end of the day. Promise. Izuku teleported in front of an unfazed Night Eye. He handed Izuku the location along with a blade that May forged that got a hold of ahead of time. Izuku looked at him confused. You've told me before that my future vision doesn't tell the future, rather predict a possible one. He says looking at a photo of him, Mirio and All Might at Mightland. But it's still very useful when it comes to situations like these. He finishes as Izuku looked at him dripping blood everywhere. Yes, it does. Can you predict a possible future of mine? He asked as Night Eye nodded. I seen many through your wife's eyes of course. All of them led to the birth of your child. With some minor changes in each, some being you being late others being you cause a massive gunfight. Night Eye says as Izuku chuckled. He teleported to the location from the outside it looked like a normal house. He kicked the gate open. Come out where is your buckin' boss he shouted cutting down two who charged him. Picking in the secret pathway he ran down the corridor. Rapidly it warped around as if was a liquid. Overhaul I'm coming for you Izuku dived through the gaps of the earth. You can hide but that won't stop me for long since I suck at hide and seek. Mei hid from me for a couple days, turns out she was in the washer machine. Izuku was suddenly encased in a barrier and smashed his face. Such a nuisance. He-Man says as Izuku got up. Hey bubble boy, mind opening up or do I have to burst it? He asked the man who didn't talk. He readied his blade and pierced the barrier. This is the part where you run like a chicken. He turned to run as Izuku promptly chopped his head off. Then someone familiar showed up. Show me a nice fight. Not now Rappa, go home to your grandma, she misses you, Izuku shouted at the man. Oh, I just want a good fight. Rappa said sadly, walking away. Izuku continued to run, cutting down anybody he saw. Tell me where you're bucking, boss, he shouted, disemboweling anybody who didn't answer. Overhaul heard him as he grabbed Eri. This is your fault. He says, making multiple walls to slow Izuku down. I don't know who this is, but it will ruin everything. I finally perfected it. Eri was carried as Overhaul berated her for being a monster and being cursed. I got Mr. killed, it's my fault. She thought while she heard a lot of screaming coming from the corridor. The footsteps kept getting louder and louder. Walls kept crumbling and the yells of anguish got louder. It was all they could hear as they ran towards the secret escape. Overhaul had sweating dripping from his forehead. The ground stopped warping, so he knew Mimic was already dead. Whoever was coming was not slowing down no matter what he put. His muscle-head members should have taken him down by now, but they didn't. Was it All Might? No, couldn't be. He was crippled in his last fight when he was fighting with Deadpool. I know who it is. He stated as the last wall he put broke. To reveal a man with dark green hair paired with dark emerald eyes. Wearing normal cloths coated in layers of blood with a single blade in his hand. Bingo crow looking mother bucker, time for me to do to you what All Might did to All for One 5 years ago. He stated, charging forward. Swiftly putting an end to the lives of Overhaul's last top men. Izuku picked up and held Eri close to him as she clutched onto him tightly. Mr. Why, you're alive, Eri whispered, surprised by his appearance. Of course I am. He said, staring down Overhaul. This won't end differently compared to last time. Overhaul says, reaching for the ground. Yeah, it will. Kinda say, obliterating his head. He turned his head to face his lover. When did you get here? I just got to the location from night, I same as you, and came here, then followed the dead bodies you left behind, met Rappa on the way in too. Knowing that you will fight Overhaul, so I thought I am a living breathing gun, so I shot him. She says, checking up on Eri. That bad man won't hurt you anymore, sweetie. She said, patting Eri's head. Also we need to go, the heroes are here as well. She said as Izuku looked at her. How many? He asked as she sighed. It's more like who is here. The biggest All Might fan you'll ever meet. She said as the entire underground tunnel's roof was ripped off. Stars and stripes, she shouted from all the noise. Izuku looked up to see the blonde woman in her star-spangled hero suit. She was very fit and huge. Alright, going to add that the list of stuff that gets me hard. Very muscular woman is going on the list, he thought. The two locked eyes. Am I on that list? Nana asked as Izuku nodded. Hey, I know you have turned me in and stuff, but can I get your number? Izuku asked as she merely glanced at him. No. She stated, appearing in front of him and covered Izuku with her shadow. Aw shucks, looks like I'll ask again later. He says, winking at her, then teleporting away with Eri and Nagant. That's who All Might told me about, he is sorta plain looking like, he said. Star says, facepalming, then looked at Overhaul's dead body to see Izuku crouched over. Found them, he shouted, holding at two small boxes from Overhaul's coat. Hope to get your autograph soon and maybe a date, love ya. Star watched as he disappeared again. He is a rather interesting fellow. She says as more heroes come along with the police. David said he made something special for him just in case. Eri's new paradise. Nagant carried Eri to Recovery Girl, she needs a checkup. She doesn't seem very well, to put it in simple terms. She say, trying to hand the child to the doctor. Only for Eri to hold on tight, not even giving in to the thought of letting go. Trust me kid, she is really nice, if you're good she might give you some candy. Kinda says, trying to convince Eri. What's candy? It's a candy. It's very sweet and good, like I don't know, chocolate. But see, chocolate. Is it sweet like an apple? She asked with Nagant looking at her blankly. Yes. She says with Eri still not letting go. Can I go in with her? She ain't letting me leave, even if I do it will be without my arm. Nagant asked as Recovery Girl nodded. Poor dearie, don't worry, I will heal you. Recovery Girl promised, giving the little white-haired girl a checkup. Nagant stayed for the entire thing while lamenting if she should have shot Overhaul in no man's land first. Looking at Eri's scars, she could only curse herself for not torturing him. The TV was on, she could see Izuku running from all the pro heroes as a distraction. Getting thrown through buildings, being dropped from the sky, getting gravity quadrupled on him, getting impaled, and flirting with MT. Lady, forget that last one. No matter what they did, he got up like nothing and just kept running and dodging. Not attacking back once, just making vulgar jokes. It made her wonder what would happen if he attacked back. Most likely he would kill them all with ease. Eri looked at the screen to see Izuku holding a sign saying, "Are you okay?" Nagant looked at it confused and sighed, his craziness will be the death of us all. She says then read the sign out loud for Eri. Eri tried to speak up to answer. I'm good now mister. She whispered Izuku the sign around which read. Great, I will see you soon apple pie. Nagant read it out loud again as Eri looked confused. What's apple pie? She asked Nagant as her blood pressure got checked. Pie filled with apples. Nagant say looking at the screen watching flirt with Ryukyu the dragon hero along with Bubble Girl. Is he trying to get in the pants of every female hero? Not that I'm complaining, I know what I signed up for when I fell in love with the bucker. She thought then Eri tapped her. What's a pie? Food. Nagant said with Recovery Girl hitting her in the shin with her cane. Be nicer with her. She scolded the younger woman. Then what else is it? Pie is pie which equal food. I'm right basic math. Nagant says Eri looked at her. Any more questions? What's your name? Be Eri. No last name? Well since I feel like it I'ma call you Unicorn. Nagant said as she nodded. Oh okay, why did you save me? Cause I could. And mister? He did it because he wanted to as well. We try our best help. She said as Eri touched her large horn. But I'm cursed. Who said that? She asked Eri. Oh well don't believe him. He hurt for gain plus he's dead. Look you aren't going to be hurt anymore, I'll personally make sure of that. Nagant promised with Recovery Girl finishing the check. She is malnourished, bruises line her body along with scars, her brain waves are erratic and her quirk looks as if it will go out of control. I would consider taking her to therapy as well. Recovery Girl told Kaina. Why you telling me this? I'm not a mob, don't tell me. She says coming to a conclusion. You will be this young girl's guardian and protector. Nezu said appearing out of nowhere. Nagant looked at the rodent. You have to be joking, please tell me there is a camera somewhere and this is a huge prank. I've got no experience with children nor have the time to take care of her. Nagant says to Nezu. Quite the contrary, you be fine caring for her and you'll have time for her if you quit drinking so excessively. Oh come on, it ain't that bad, is it? We have multiple videos a week of you drinking around 2 kegs of alcohol. He said with Eri looking at him with suspicion. Don't be scared my dear. I am similar like you. He says to her touching his scar on his eye. Eri instinctively tried to cover her arms and legs. Don't cover them, they prove you are a survivor. Eri looked at the rat man as Nagant sighed, knowing that she couldn't talk her way out of this. Fine, I will take her, you are coming with me. She stated taking the note from Recovery Girl on what Eri needed. Then picked up the little unicorn. Unicorn, I will be your caretaker or guardian. So call me whatever you want. She say going towards Class 1A's personal 3D printer for cloths. Eri looked at the screen one last time to see Izuku holding the final sign. Call her mom, I can't read. She thought she was carried out. Izuku turned the sign to show the words. I know but do it anyway. Wait, you can't read this either shit. Nagant rushed off with the child with Nezu watching her stomp away. Why her? Recovery Girl asked as he sighed. She is the only adult that is free to take care of a child. Azawa has to care for Class 1A plus Midoriya, so he has a lot his plate. Vlad has 1B and Powerloader has Mei Hatsum. What about Midnighter 13? No. Plus her and Midoriya been having not so subtle hand motions and staring contests every time they see each other. It's only a matter of when the two will enact on it. Nezu says looking at the screen to see Izuku in mid-air spinning and dodging a giant sickle. Also Midoriya has made attempts of getting inside of 13's suit if understand what I am saying. Also she busy with teaching. Nezu says as Recovery Girl sighed, what is he even trying to do, have relations with the world's top heroes? I just don't know. Nezu stated as Izuku was thrown to ground and dragged through the pavement. Getting back up rapidly healing from his wounds. He will be fine. Recovery Girl stated. Eri looked around as she was measured by Momo. She was confused, they all treated her good. Usually she would get yelled at for talking or eating too slow, but she was being fed and cared for, it felt weird. Eri wanted to see the mister who said he couldn't die. Looking at her hands, all she could see were hands of a monster. Oi unicorn, don't think of that. Nagant says to her looking eye to eye with the child. But if you're a monster then me and Izuku are literal devils. The two of us have done a lot more you could ever understand. She says as to Eri. She nodded as Nagant smiled. Now the rest of you, this is my new daughter, I hear a bad thing her, I will shoot your kneecaps off. The class backed off. Nagant took Eri to the showers to wash the dried blood off her and grime in her hair. Toga joined to help wash her. So Eri, what do you want to eat? Do you guys have apples? She asked nervously as Himiko smiled, of course have them all. She spraying Eri with water to wash off the soap. Eri spent the rest of the day being pampered by everyone in the dorm. Kitsuki tried to give her a chili to eat and up getting his head smashed into the wall by a Chaco. Ibarra smothered her with hugs, chanting that she would protect her. Which Eri enjoyed. Ioka and the others that knew how to play an instruments. They played a small show for her as she tried to dance with Mina stepping in to teach her. Her greatest interest came when Yellow Chicken, Blue Bunny, and Brown Bear came out. They played a show for her, and the rest were then handed pizza. Finally a subject for them to protect. Okay tiny human, these are your friends, and they will protect you from anybody bad, May stated with Ray telling her to calm down and remember she's pregnant. So I can't run around with my animatronics? She asked. No. Fine Mangle, take me away, she announced as everyone looked around. It takes a bit. Suddenly she was pulled to the ceiling by multiple mechanical arms. They all screamed as Hiri looked an enchantment. She was amazed by the creations and creator. Hey what are the genders? The Chica one is obvious a girl, and Freddy is a boy. What is Mangle you said? Momo asked as Tsuyu knocked out Mineta who was latching onto Chica's leg. Izuku crashed through the window of the dorm. I'm Deadpool. We know. They all said as Himiko joyfully took out the glass in his skin. Mister, are you okay? Hiri asked coming up to him. Of course I am, he said patting her head. May lowered herself from the ceiling with the help of Mangle, acting as an exoskeleton for her. The answer for Mangle's gender is yes. May stated to her, then turned to Eri and Izuku. The duo played with her as Negan joined in as well. Itsuki took out his phone and took a photo, then sent it to his mother. With a text that read. Guess who got a new daughter? With a couple seconds he had 20 message that he left on read. She is going to kick my ass, but more his. He muttered, joining in on the fun with the rest of the class. Izawa walked in and sighed, getting into his sleeping bag. Lawyered up, Izuku spent most of his time playing with Hiri, along with Kota setting the two in playdates. Though usually they end up in the trio getting into a wacky adventure that is either life or death, but the silver lining is that it's fun. May mood swings were getting out hand with Izuku and Himiko being the only ones to calm her down. For the fact anyone else who tried get sent to infirmary, poor Sato, all he wanted was to give a vanilla flavored cake. Which she hated with a passion. Civil unrest was getting out of hand as well. Deadpool was their main point in fear and anger, though he mainly helped, he was a murderous monster their eyes. They never saw his deeds of compassion behind closed doors, all they had was what news got out about him. So he didn't blame them for that. Nezu has been stalling the best he could, there are only so many strings he could pull. Endeavor was soon to be sworn in as the new #1 hero. So they were running out of time before the civilians lose their faith in heroes. The crime rate was skyrocketing, nothing Izuku did slowed it down. Heroes that were coming from around the world were only there to hunt Deadpool. They could care little for a country they don't live in. The fame of catching the merc with the mouth was all they wanted. So that is what he was going to give them, but on his terms. Izuku sat on top of a roof, drinking a full bottle of Fireball. He sighed, getting up, patting down his normal cloths. Time to play the villain. He stated, walking towards an array of computers and speakers. He began. Grabbing a microphone, he turned on all his setup. All around Japan he took control of everybody's screens. They all saw him holding the camera as if he was vlogging. Hello Japan, your favorite vigilante here. You all might he get it, all might. No, but seriously, I am currently showing you all my location. I have hidden over 1 million bombs across the land. Izuku showed, picking up a remote and pressing the button, blowing an entire building that crumbled. Showing that he wasn't joking. We are going to play my game now. I have been getting hunted even though I help All Might kill the bucker that crippled him. Now I feel that is a bit unfair for me. I saved all of you and I'm the bad guy. Sure, I destroyed a city or two, but all you are alive cause of me, he stated while walking past a sign that read. Y'all are shitheads. But not only that, but heroes that are only here to capture me are annoying to deal with. So I came up with this to cure my boredom. He says with his radar going off showing incoming threats. I'll stop if I were you. I wouldn't want to accidentally blow up a hospital. He say coldly as the dots stop moving. Good. Now let's talk about something I want. Oh, and if viewership drops the hospital goes boom boom. He began rant about how prequels were trash and only looked good when the new trilogy. Also for the fact people are riding on the shaft of the prequels now were the same people that said they were terrible. Whilst admitting he killed a man over it. He had an opinion, it just turned out that it was a wrong one. He was 3 hours in when he blew up another building for fun cause he was bored. He was able to get messages from people from a chat he set up as well. So what if your new car got destroyed, you're alive, aren't you greedy buck, you are getting banned. He says, banning the man. He had nothing else to do so he started to tell stories of his adventures while adding some spice into them. The time he saved All Might from a galactic marshmallow might have been a bit of a stretch. So here is the deal, I might have mind controlled the UA students for fun, but I would say I am sorry for that. He lied as a single dot on the radar moved and he smiled. And I don't want those guys to get in trouble for something I did. So if they all get their charges dropped I will turn myself in. Deal? Oh, and I only want Endeavor to do it, he said excitedly as the man himself landed. We have a deal, Deadpool. No gets hurt or dies with us, right? Endeavor asked as Izuku nodded, sticking his hands out. Yip yip, he says. The cuffs were placed on him. Oh, one more thing, look at the sky, Izuku shouted, pressing the button as a million fireworks lit and flew into the sky, all going off. Ahaha, dumbasses, you thought I was going to blow up a hospital. What, am I the one and only greatest Joker ever played in film? He laughed, flipping the camera off while police surround his building. Suddenly a lot of birds fell out of the sky, dead. Izuku looked around at his work, maybe that was a bad idea. Did not think they would die from this. Endeavor walked him down the stairs of the building. Are you okay with this? He asked the insane man. Yes, plus what was I supposed to do, let my stepson go to jail? He said. Endeavor just stayed quiet as Izuku chuckled. Beside, it's this or I get into a massive fight that would have taken up 3 chapters to put me down to go to jail. Since I am this notorious, my trial might be in 2 days. I don't think I am going to have a fair one. He said, looking down, wanting to see Eri. She might be sad for now, but she has a friend called Kota. He was fine, that at least. We'll back you up. Endeavor says as Izuku was handed to the police. They chained him down with as many restraint physically possible for him. Then put him in a van filled with heroes in case he tried to escape. So fellas, wanna see who can? Izuku received a blow to the jaw, dislocating it. Shut it. The police officer with a baton ordered. His jaw popped right in as he smiled. That all you got? I mean, if it is, I won't judge, we all sometimes get performance issues. He says, getting his face smashed into the wall of the van, denting it. Did I hit sore spot? What, don't tell me you told your wife that. Izuku said, getting beaten as he kept going. Harder. He responded calmly while getting beaten with multiple batons. Refusing to even show them a single bit of vocalization of pain. He was healing faster than the damage was being done to him. He laughed whilst getting bludgeoned. Imagine losing a fight to a guy chained up, he shouted as the officers and heroes who were trying to hurt him were tired, gasping for air. Soon he was dragged out the van and put in a temporary cell, armed to the teeth with weaponry aimed at him. If he moved a single millimeter, they would go off and turn him into Swiss cheese. I hope I get to watch the news. He muttered, getting his bottom jaw shot at the cheek, causing it to hang open, causing a lot of blood to spill out. He still wanted to talk Kadashev Bentaush. Though from the outside the world was cheering and were filled with chants. All aimed at him to die and rot. Hearing them all as Izuku healed, a grin soon appeared across the doctor's face as he completed his new project. Opening the test, a body flopped out as Shigaraki walked in with 9. The doctor smiled manically as Shigaraki felt torn on the inside. Mei was in chair in her workshop holding her stomach, rocking back and forth. I miss him, she shouted, drinking her chocolate milk as Himiko made a sandwich. It's this or this country falls into anarchy. She said, sliding Mei her food. Like I give a damn, those people never once helped me, but knew they have take my hubby away from me. She says, munching on her sandwich. Eri walked in with Nagant. Can I see them again? Mei seeing Eri again instantly switch her mood. Eri was the first child to like her creations, so she had a soft spot for her. Right this way, Mei said, leading Eri to a drape and pulling it away to reveal the animatronics. Powering on, they scanned the group, then Eri. Excited to play with her robotic friends, Eri jumped into their arms. Can we play? Eri asked Nagant, knock yourself out, but don't do it literally. She says as they took off to have an adventure. You sure they are safe for kids? Nagant asked Mei. Yep, I made them so they entertain children, even build connections with people and be constantly learning new things, Mei shouted, showing her the blueprints. Himiko looked over to see and was amazed. Mei, you need to teach me more, I am so far behind, Himiko says as Mei nodded. Of course you are going to be my main mechanic, the two of us together will make my babies. She proclaimed as Nagant sipped her coffee. Toga and Mei got closer as a result of her being Mei's main helper with inventing other than Izuku. Duya shot out his fire, incinerating a testing dummy. That's how you do it. He told Shoto, and he tried as well. His fire wavered and Tuya told him to shut it off. Look, you are relying too much on emotion. Well, yes, that can up your firepower, it can't for long. Your flames will be inconsistent and inconvenient. Tuya said, remembering his sparring with Izuku. You need to be calm because there will be a day when a person comes along and throws you to the ground, then bury you syrup cause they can withstand the fire. Tuya stated, focusing the fire in his palm. The cleanly burning through another dummy. Turning off his fire, he gave Shoto the go-ahead. Shoto calmed himself, setting his left half ablaze. The flames calmed and focused around his arm. Raising, he fired a very hot torrent of fire, roasting the dummy. See, now you're getting, you still have a ways to go, but I will make sure you get there. Tuya said, setting his legs on fire. Time to teach you how to fly, that is the next step. Tuya said, grabbing Shoto. What are you doing? He asked, doing it the Deadpool way. Shoto looked at him with a serious face. Please tell me you're joking, Shoto said as Tuya didn't answer. Then promptly took flight with Shoto in his arms. You'll figure it out maybe. Tuya said, dropping the boy from the high height. From afar, Rei watched her son's train as she made a call to her other children to visit soon. At the last second, Shoto sparked up his leg, shooting out fire from it. With a lack of control, he crashed into a tree. Tuya landed next to him. See, you did get it. F-buck why you, he said to his older sibling. Yeah, how about we get some ice on that? Tuya says, dodging a point-blank fire blast. Saw that coming. He stated. Well, a day soon passed of Izuku being in jail. Overall, he would rate it a 2 out of 10. The food was bad, so was the service along a very uncomfortable chains hindered him from scratching a certain itchy hand. At least when he was elaborate he had more comfortable restraints. That is why he gave the doc a 3 out of 10. I wonder if I could get someone to sneak in a Twinkie for me. I won't eat it, but who else they got a Twinkie snuck into prison? He thought as his door opened. Hey fellas, it's time for my beating. Yesterday's was lackluster, not enough passion. He deadpanned as he was dragged away, then placed into an integration room. The very old man in sunglasses, also in a suit, showed up, placed his briefcase down along with his cane. Hello, Izuku Midoriya Bakugo, finally someone gets my name right, can I sue for it being messed up the news? Not in your case. Aw, thought I could make some quick cash, sorta blue mosted on spoiling my new daughter and nephew. Worth every yen though. He admitted as his lawyer slid him his card. Ooh, fancy, Izuku said, looking at the card, not reading it. You are talking Kota Izumi and Iri Tsutsumi, am I right? He asked him, so he nodded. Great kids, talk to them to help your case. Just give to me straight, how long am I facing for everything accounted for that they haven't found out or linked to me? His lawyer face told him everything. It's for the rest of your life. That is how long your sentence will be if you are convicted of every time you've done for the 5 years, 7 months and 9 days. I am not saying one sentence, I am saying hundreds to thousands of lifetime sentences. He stated as Izuku looked at him in his sunglasses. Oh, that does sound long. So are we going win or not? Cause the way you're acting is giving me mixed vibes. Izuku says, grabbing the plate of mints. Eating them like candy. Izuku asked a question, by the what's your name? Izuku asked his lawyer as he dodged a question. Your trial is tomorrow. I haven't been able to build you a proper case, a fair one. That everyone deserves no matter what they've done. They don't care and you will suffer cause of their bitterness and lack of respect for the law. I am going to do my best to get you off solely based off facts and people that will come to your defense. Izuku, I as your lawyer will try not to let you down. He stated as he nodded. You're here for me now. That is more than enough for me, I bet a lot of lawyers wouldn't even think of defending me. Izuku says, popping in another mint. But I did ask for that name, the suspense is killing me. Izuku exclaimed with his minty breath as his lawyer cleared his throat. My name? Well, all you must know is that I'm a really good lawyer. He says as Izuku flicked at him a mint that he caught with ease. But my name is Matt Murdock. Suspicious court. Looking at the man, Izuku bursted out laughing. You're serious? Why did you take my case? Man, what are you, like 79? Izuku asked. Matt sighed. 76, but I am here cause of the familiarity of a case like this. One I've done in the past. He stated as Izuku kept laughing. Look, can you still do the cool stuff? Izuku asked Matt, who sighed. No, I have gone far past my prime to even run. He say, catching another mint. Stop that. So still blind, but still has super hearing from being bitten by a radioactive bat. Izuku says, dodging the cane. Not how it happened, but okay. Mr. Murdock says, retracting his cane. Either way, don't incriminate yourself more. Let me talk for you and the people who stand up for you. Matt says as Izuku asked a question. Am I going to a loony bin if we do it your way? No, they are going throw that out no matter how insane you prove you are to them. Locking you up in the place all for one should have been placed. Matt says as Izuku looked at him. Are you saying that I should have let him live? He asked, staring into his glasses. Yes, he should have faced the law like you are now. See, this is part where the two of us disagree. Izuku responded. I am pretty sure I was justified in what I did. Was it barbaric? Yes. Was it wrong? Yes. Were you justified by your actions? Also yes. I talked to your mother, who is rather angry at you. All for one, the man you killed was the one that kidnapped you as a child, you were barely 3. Then you were tortured by said man's assistant for 10 years. Mr. Murdock stated, opening his briefcase. I am from the States, but your story is known by the public for quite some time now. So all we need to do is tell it to show how we got here. Matt states, showing photos of Izuku's murder chart from the time he hunted the doctor. How did you get that? After your first death to Endeavor. Photos were taken of your place of stay along seizing everything inside that was dangerous. He says, showing more photos of every location he hid and burned. All this is like watching a highlight reel of my best moments. Izuku says, looking at them. You don't want to stop killing, do you? Matt asked him as Izuku looked at him. If I could, I would. I want to settle and live my life with my lovers, but these situations are getting in my way. I've been doing my best to change, be a more page version of myself. Wacky adventures and funny moments, no hardcore gory moment anymore, catch my drift. Plus the people reading can see that. Izuku admitted as Matt changed his perspective on Izuku as he kept talking. So that's why I chose to get arrested, so I could finally get a new arc in this story, if I'm lucky the final one, though that's just a guess. Matt Murdock was astonished by his words, here he thought that he was going to have another Frank situation. Grinning, he had faith that he could win against the prosecutors. Suddenly the door slammed opened and Izuku was forced back into his uncomfortable restraints that he took off. "See you next time, bring me a Twinkie," Izuku says, getting dragged away, making it difficult for them. Matt went on his way, gathering more intel on Izuku through his family and friends, telling him of his deeds and reasons why he did what he did. Mitsuki was at UA taking care, spoiling her new granddaughter, whilst telling him of the time Izuku got run over saving a kid and his sister. Hashinori told him when Izuku and Mirio ended up falling off a waterfall stuck on a log with Najire. How they got there is a mystery. Night Eye informed him of raid he did on Yakuza. The bar and Kyoka told him how he saved them. The class all had a story to tell about him, all positive, while including his awful pranks and jokes. Achako shared how he got her family out of poverty. Saya mentioned how he babysat her siblings a couple times, also to mention the fact her parents love him. Hiru showed him the necklace that he made for her so she can be seen by the others. Trained with Sato and Ijiro, teaching them to do takedowns on bigger opponents. Shoto refused to comment on his stepfather, while Tuya told his story about how they met. Ray told him about the amazing tale of how he saved her. Himiko told hers while holding her stomach. Her face was one of pure happiness. Negan talked about their past missions together. Speaking to all of the rest people Izuku has met and spoken to, Matt was able to get all of them to agree to speak up for him. The evidence was another thing though, all of could put him away forever. So he needed to get the ones that will strike a nerve, so they side with him. So this was all he could for the limited time he had of 2 days. If only he had more time, this would be a lot easier. The final person he had to speak turned out to Izuku's final lover that was a bit unhinged. Reaching her lab and entering, he found her tinkering on a suit. Looking up, she saw him. "Oh, you must, lawyer guy, can you win?" she asked, getting back to work. "I will certainly try," he stated as she huffed. "Well, it's something. If does get imprisoned then I'll just break him out," she said as Matt caught a flash drive she threw. "That has all the info on everybody he killed before he died to Endeavor and came back," she says. "What are you working on?" "Can't really make it out. This suit. This will be best one yet, repairs itself as well, good armor all by myself with some help from Himi. This is the greatest baby, yet I am definitely the best," she bragged, spinning her chair to work in the watch. "You really care for him." "Of course he cared for me first, more than my blood family, just because my quirk mutated and I got an ocular quirk compared to their tech-based quirks," she says, chucking a screwdriver at the wall, getting stuck in it. "Them and the others are all I have and like hell I am letting anyone take them from me," she says to Murdock as he sighed. "Thank you for the info," he said, walking out to prepare for the big day. May looked at the suit and found that she swapped the left hand and right hand with each other. "Damn it," she says, then feeling a nudge on inside of her stomach. "You cranky too? I bet you miss your pa. I wonder how you will look. Wait, are you a boy or girl?" May asked her stomach. "Oh, I forgot you can't talk." "Well, I will just have to wait till your birth to find out then," she says, looking at the hall to see Kota and Eri chazzing after Jeff, who had a tray of cookies in his mouth. "Def share," Kota shouted. "MRRRR," Jeff growled at the two. "We do not have big heads," Eri says at the land shark. "MRRR." "The not," Eri said back as Kota leaped towards him. Jeff darted to the left, avoiding the boy completely. May watched while fixing the suit. When it was completed, she placed inside a box label "present for hubby." She opened Toy Freddy's chest cavity, then placed it inside. "Def share, you're my lunch later," May said to the fish, and he promptly shared with the kids. The Hussycats walked up to May. "How's it going?" Pixie asked as May looked at her. "Fine, just waiting to break Izuku out if he gets convicted." The Hussycats flinch on how she said it so calmly without a second thought. "Oh, okay, that's cool," Ragdoll said. "Izuku, you good?" Nana asked the bloodied and beaten Izuku, who was healing from his wounds. "Peachy, to be honest, I thought they would do better than last time," he thought as an image of May and the others appeared in his mind. "This is fine, a little more pain couldn't hurt me anyways. May is waiting for me at home, and so are my kids," he thought as Nana worried for his mental health. From what she could get, it was fragile, and he covers his problems up with jokes. Often joking about the said mental problems. "I am here to help you, so don't you give up," Nana says to his, so he grinned. "At least I have someone here with me." The hours passed as the two talked with each other. Night fell and soon came the morning, then led to the afternoon. He was sprayed down with a powerful hose to wash off his blood. Then was given new cloths that he put on quickly. Izuku was dragged out of his holder cell and placed in a van. Then was driven to the place where he will get the sentencing that could alter his life. "Here we go," he said as he was placed in the middle of a room. Multiple bars were placed over his chains, locking him down to the ground. "I don't think this trial will be fair," Nana spoke in his head as he nodded. "I have that feeling as well." One thing he knows is that this is not a normal trial at all. So he could only hope for the best outcome. Multiple cameras aimed at him, broadcasting him around the world live. He winked at the cameras as the people showed up. This wasn't a simple court issue. It was international crimes he was facing. Multiple judges were there to sentence him from around the world. Cool an audience. He stated as his lawyer showed up. So are we getting a jury? Izuku asked. No, we are appealing to them. He stated, pointing at the judges. Why do we even need to be here? He is guilty, we all know it. One of them spoke as guilty as in courting your wife. Izuku says to the man. Silence. K. Your Honor, I would like to say this is all cut and dry. He is murderous psychopath. We have him on film doing all of these acts. His prosecutor stated in a bored tone. You say that without knowing the context. Matt stated, pulling a flash drive and having an assistant pull it up on a computer, then showed it on a projector. This one flash drive holds all of crimes and records of the people he killed in cold blood. Yes, he killed them, that is a fact, but this can show why. Matt stated, this man murdered 3 children and got away scot-free on a technicality. So what does my client do? He took law into his hands at the age of 13 and killed him in cold blood. Izuku Midoriya Bakugo never killed an innocent person once, that is a fact. Did you know where he came from? Matt asked the prosecutors. The streets, and was born in the red light district. Wrong, looks like someone has been looking at theories online. He was born in a hospital with a terminally ill mother who passed before his birth. Her best friend took him as her own. Matt revealed, showing documents proving him right. Where he was raised as a proper child for 3 years. Matt stated, showing a grainy video of Izuku pushing his mother Mitsuki out the way as he dragged into a portal by a man in a suit. He was kidnapped by a villain, then tortured for 10 years straight for something he was born with. A quirk he was born with, one that kept him alive from his own illness. Matt stated, showing x-rays of Izuku as a baby. Hey, my first nudes very inappropriate, Izuku says as in crowd behind him chuckled. Matt looked at him, as you can see, it's stage 5 terminal lung cancer that spreaded to the rest his body that inherited from his mother. It's rare for cancer itself to be passed on, so his body came up with a solution, being his quirk, to heal himself. Matt says, pulling out more x-rays of the progression spreading through his infant body. On what it has to with anything? Your Honor, the prosecutor shouted as Matt interjected. It has to with this man. He said, showing footage of All For One blasting All Might through multiple buildings. This is All For One, All Might, you mind explaining who he is? Ashinori stood up and leaned on his new cane. Walking up ever so slowly, this man is All For One, his quirk is to take and give quirks. He has been alive for centuries and was my nemesis. He killed my master and wounded me greatly. Yagi say, holding his right shoulder where his arm was gone. He was very dangerous, and his group is as well. Young Midoriya was his subject for testing to recreate a stronger version of his quirk that he succeeded in. Yagi said, looking at video of All For One healing from being obliterated to bit, then put himself back together. All Might, are you saying that would have lost? A random voice called out. Yes, I would have, but I wasn't fighting alone. Young Midoriya aided me on battle, and together we were able to overcome him. Mr. Murdoch smiled as he continued to speak, showing Izuku's murder chart filled with photos of people that are dead. Listing everyone that died lead Izuku one step closer to finding All For One. Giving a direct timeline to all the events story. All of his killing had a goal, it wasn't mindless. He did what he had to do so he could get revenge for his pain. Murdoch also brought everybody that he talked to defending him. From Eri and Koda to pro heroes that believed he shouldn't be convicted. He listened to their words of his friends, they all touched his soul. They all came for him, to help him. Endeavor marched to the stand and spoke as well, shocking everyone. Since the two haven't had the best relationship in the past. His lovers all came to his defense, even Nagant whilst in disguise. He knew since he recognized her hips, he means her voice. The hussy cats all came together to protect him as well. The crowd behind him and people watching the court case were silence. All of the people he has helped in the past came to defend him as a person. Achako's parents, Kyoka's parents, and Ibara's came, to name a few. See kid, people love you, you're not alone. Nana told him as he stayed silent. Matt stopped for a bit for the prosecutors. I have more people to defend my client, but please let us see your case to convict him. But you really believe that this will win you the case, gathering people? This man has over 400 confirmed kills. He shouted as Izuku spoke up. I am pretty sure with a statute of limitation it should closer to 250. Izuku stated as Murdoch signaled him to shut up. There is no statute of limitation for murder. Why the buck not? Easy there, Mr. Midoriya, or we will hold you in contempt. One judge spoke up as Izuku locked eyes with the man, unnerving him. Or what? I already know you all plan to give me the chair or whatever you think can kill me. You think I care about you not liking me? Buck off. Izuku says, leaning forward in his restraints. I wonder if you'll keep that attitude when you rot in prison for the rest of your life. His prosecutor shouted at Izuku as he yawned. Oh yeah? And I wonder if you will continue to act like a douchebag after I shut that gavel up your ass. Matt sighed, my client would like that stricken from the record. He says approved. The judges say as he sighed. Soon his prosecutor continued with his case. Izuku Midoriya, this child is the ultimate combination of human sin. Not untrue. Izuku thought. He is the most terrifying creature I've ever met. That's a bit mean. Seriously, this kid is buck. There is something horribly wrong with him. Come on, I ain't that messed up, right, Chad? How someone could have ever loved something. Fuck you, May shouted from the crowd, don't you dare ever say that. They all turned to see May standing at the doors of the courthouse. I thought Nezu told me he would keep her busy. Matt muttered as May walked forward. All you have been doing is slandering him, no evidence or people to come forward to incriminate him. Hell endeavor, the man who killed him once is defending him, world's eyes all on him, at least do a good job at that, May shouted at the prosecutors. What would be your relation with him be? I'm his friend, she is his friend too, Mitsuki shouted, covering her mouth and dragging the girl to her seat. May, quit bidding, we talked about this. Mitsuki told her as Masaru helped calm her down. Moving on from the distraction. What else do you bring to the case? A judge asked as the prosecutor's side stepped, revealing an old woman. This is a certified top-of-the-line therapist with a quirk of mind reading. I wouldn't do that. Last time someone did that went insane, poor guy. Izuku say as she was connected to a machine. This will broadcast your memories on the screen, protecting her from entering your horrifying mind. Oh good, well what are you waiting for? Roll the bucking tape. He said as she placed her hand on his head. This will shows us what actually happened instead of going off reports. His prosecutor stated as he skipped to day Izuku turned 4. An image popped up of the doctor in the shadows. Never showing a good lighting of him. From a first-person view they all watched as acid was poured on him. His wails of pain echoed through the speakers, along with his voices begging for it to stop. Only for him to have his tongue cut off with rusty scissors. Then getting his arms chopped off and being sewed back on the opposite stumps. Same with the legs, he was being torn apart and being put back together to test his healing. Being set ablaze or being frozen stiff, then shattered only to come back. Injections of different chemicals burned him, causing his muscles to melt off his bones. His arms being shattered and torn off by force. His eye being pulled out slowly as the flesh connecting rip and tore. Being subjected to machines and placed into a giant blender. Most of it wasn't even testing, it was plain mindless torture most of the time. As the video went on by his age time passing him by. The testing becoming much more graphic than before as he got older. His wails of pain becoming non-existent by the age of 8, as if he was just tired of yelling in pain. The prosecutor shut the projection off as they got to the age of 9. The woman showing his memories had tears within her eyes. I'm so sorry honey that you went through that, and I'm sorry you had to see it again. She said, hugging the chained up Izuku. It's alright, you're just doing your job. I believe they are done, so please take time to come up with a verdict. Matt stated to the judges as they looked at him. The room was quiet and shaken from the video shown. The leading judge leaned forward into his mic. Without discussion with the others, then got the verdict finalized. Guilty of all charges. As the words were said, the crowd erupted in yelling as Matt stood there confused, same with the other judges. Though the only one who understood what happened was the man chained to the ground. You were paid OFFFFF, there was never a chance of me walking, he shouted, breaking out of his restraints with ease. Then leaping towards the judge that was paid off. His fist was hocked back, about to smash his brains to bits. Though multiple raps and pulled him back from doing so. Scanning around, he saw Izawa and Matt using their support weapons to retrain him. Stop it, problem child, you're making it worse. Look, I will appeal so we can have a proper trial. Order in the court, the leading judge shouted, banging his gavel. My decision is final. Izuku Midoriya shall spend the last of his days in the lowest part of Tartarus. Fuck off, you paid off, Tulame shouted, rushing to her lover, pushing past people. Her hand reaching towards him, so he asked for time. Your Honor, give me some time to talk to my friends. Izuku shouted as another judge spoke amongst the violence. You have a minute. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.